What day are we going to be live? No, we're not live right now. YouTube's live. Facebook's live. I'm not live. I need her now. Okay. That was a 35-second warning. When you're diving, if you do it the way we learn to do it, the way we do it, I ask you how much air you got, then you give me how much air you got. That's 1,500 pounds. That's what diving is. Okay, we're live. Well, say something.
Good morning.
Good morning.
No, I said say something.
TGIF something.
Thank you. My goodness gracious. It's going to be one of them bar days, y'all.
It's been one of those weeks.
Good morning, I'm Rayford Brown.
And good morning, I'm Lee Barrows.
And good morning, I'm Chris Marks.
Yay! We got Chris in the house, and we'll all be wearing reddish.
Of course, you see what mine says. Mine says Jacksonville Cardinals.
It's been spelled.
What? It is not.
Then why did you look? You didn't check it before you bought it?
Well, I checked mine to make sure it said Crunch Stopper when you did that.
Everybody's looking at their.
Oh, it's so easy to create just a little bit of doubt in people's
I
minds.
have a little cardinal ring on too.
Oh, you think anybody can read that?
It doesn't matter. Somebody special gave that to me.
If you hit somebody with it, would you leave a cardinal impression?
I wouldn't want to.
Why?
Because I don't want to hurt my bird.
Does it say Cardinal or forward ever, backward never?
No, it does. It
that
does.
little ring, if it did, you would be more than a microscope to see it. Good God.
Oh, I did. I have my little cardinal ring on.
Oh, that's good. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay. It's Friday. TGIF. TGIFF.
What's the extra for?
Finally.
Oh,
You got a dirty mind.
I was hoping forever.
that's what I was thinking forever because we
No,
just
it
talked
wasn't.
about forever.
Anyway, it is Friday. We're headed for the weekend, and I think that really Friday after 8 o'clock is the weekend. After 8 a.m., it should be considered the weekend, right?
Oh, it starts the moment I get
Now,
up.
if you're working for the government, it starts at noon because you ain't going to find a whole bunch of those brass in place after 12 o'clock. They go to lunch and they come back Monday.
You're correct. Absolutely correct.
And if you news guys, especially you bureau people, wherever you are, for whatever TV station you're working, if you just go leave your cameras in your car and just go visit the brass about 1 or 2 o'clock on every Friday, do it for about a month or two. Keep a record of it. Do due diligence to it. Write it down exactly the time you went in and who was there, who was not there, and see what the excuses were that whoever was in charge of them would give you. He's gone to lunch. Okay, what time does he do back? He'll be back shortly, or whatever they say.
Oh, we'll have them call you. May I take a message? And you don't hear from them
until Monday. So, but it's just do little things like that, and it makes a great report after about 2 months. Oh my God! You know why I know that, don't you? Because I did it, y'all.
Well, I hate to say it, but I have experienced that with our local government.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Where? Oh yeah. I'll call it. Well,
not lately. I haven't done it lately, but I mean that used to be the thing in Wilmington. I couldn't find anybody with any power who was in office in their offices at that time.
But you know what? If you can do it, do it.
On a sunny day, those who play golf, I knew where to go to find them. And yeah, I knew where to go to find them. So, we've got, I'm going to really For at least two of you guys out there, and probably a lot more who
here we
don't
go.
have the brass to call in, I'm gonna really tick y'all off this morning. I'm just gonna. It's not. It shouldn't tick you off. It should just make you sit down. Y'all need to get yourself a legal pad and a pencil, and keep it up. Keep up with me, okay? This morning when I get started,
All right.
I'm not ready to.
Me?
No, not you. The people out there listening, because y'all. I want you to look at some of the numbers, and you may want to fact check me because some of these numbers may vary a little bit because it's math. And depending upon the source of your information or misinformation, those numbers vary, right? It's just the way it is. Start out, though, this morning with the district attorney's office right around this neck of the woods.
Oh, detail.
They have been busy for the past week or so. A day into his trial. All right. Now, Kelly, please, you don't need to be listening to this, Kelly, if you're up. Turn your computer off, okay? A day into his trial, 67-year-old, make a note of that number, 67-year-old Delmas Foss Jr. of Kenansville saw the handwriting on the wall. He entered a guilty plea. I'll take that back. He entered guilty pleas to first-degree rape, second-degree rape, and taking indecent liberties with a child. There's much more. The charges stem from allegations that he had engaged in improper sexual activities with his 6-year-old granddaughter and the victim's 12-year-old sister beginning in 2020. Foss was sentenced to life, to be followed by a 20 to 50-year sentence in case he's paroled ever, plus 2 additional sentences of 19 to 32 months just in case all else fails. During the investigation, no charges have been filed here, though. Nobody wanted to do it. During the investigation into this, it was discovered that a third victim, an adult woman now age 54, came forward and reported that she had been repeatedly raped throughout her childhood by this defendant, who was her cousin, ending around 1977.
Wow.
Finally, a fourth victim, also an adult woman now, and the defendant's niece, 44 years of age now, reported that she suffered the same offenses in 1984. Both of these women were 8 and 11 years old at the time of the offenses. The sentences, while they're lengthy, this is my comments now, cannot compensate for the mental and physical damages these victims suffered. Now, they've been suffering,
I do have to say,
some of them since 1977.
the sentencing,
No wonder
I agree.
counselors, such as our very own Kelly Knapp, become so passionate when they are discussing such tragedies. And that's what this is. This is a tragedy, a series of tragedies. I'm just wondering why no one knew, why it didn't come up. Or maybe it was swept under the rug in the family. For parents, it matters not that you think your family is perfect. Hopefully it is. But never let your guard down. And communications with your kids is extremely important. There can be people in your family. Oh God, people looking around and shaking their heads up and down. I can see you. You know that, right? But people are looking around and they're thinking, yeah, there's him. We always thought there was something strange. Maybe we better keep our eye on our kids. You never know. Communications with your kids, and do not discount anything they tell you. If they tell you something that seems like, oh, that's just ridiculous, he wouldn't do that, then think about this story. And do not discount what they tell you. Investigate. Then there was another case last week.
Oh, gosh.
A convicted drug dealer found guilty headed to the big house to serve some quality time. 44-year-old Brian Owens was found guilty of 3 counts of level 3 trafficking in opium, heroin, fentanyl, possession of cocaine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. That was in Onslow County Superior Court, and there's more. Earlier in the week, the jury found Owens guilty of being a habitual felon. He'd been busted on cocaine charges before. Now for the sentencing. 44 months and a maximum of 65 months for the possession of cocaine as a habitual felon. This sentence will run concurrently with the sentence of a minimum of 225 months and a maximum of 282 months for level 3 trafficking in the fentanyl. The court sentenced the defendant to a consecutive sentence of a minimum of 225 months and a maximum of 282 months on the second count of level 3 trafficking in opium. The defendant was ordered to pay, this is going to happen, a statutory fine of $1 million for the trafficking convictions, $500,000 per trafficking count.
Wow.
Okay, in case you lost count, Mr. Owens will be awarded the State Department of Corrections for the great state of North Carolina for a minimum of 37 and a half years, a maximum of 47 years. That's if he behaves himself. I still think the state would be better off paying a private prison in Mexico to keep Owens for the duration of his sentence. You can bet he would never become eligible for parole because the income would be too good for the Mexico. I so love happy news on Fridays.
Wow.
A good job to a host of law enforcement officers with
Kudos.
several different agencies in at least 3 counties who worked on these cases, as well, of course, as to our wonderful district attorney's office who handled all of this, and the ADAs that walked it through the system. I mean, that was a whole lot of work putting those 2 cases, only those 2 cases together. Oh, by the way, Mr. Owens also has issues over in Carteret County.
So he's not done. Well, I hope some of those crimes were called into Crime Stoppers. But
Darn, I wish I'd called.
Can I call in now?
You said something's happening in Carteret County, but yeah. And I've never understood these fines. They're never
Well,
going.
first of all,
they make.
he would, if for any reason he would come up eligible for parole, are you able to pay your fines? That can negate your parole if you can't pay your fines.
Right.
A lot of it depends too on how many times you've been in there.
Yep.
And then you get time off your sentence for good behavior, right?
This young man is not going to be able to behave himself behind bars.
So I don't want to go behind there to find out.
He's not going to be able to behave himself.
I saw the jail. I don't ever want to see it on the other side.
No.
That night we had class at the jail. I was like, this is as close as I ever want to get to the jail.
All right, so okay, we kind of open up today on some bunch of stuff, so you can feel free to call in and berate Lee if you want to.
Throw it at me.
You got broad shoulders; she can take it. But your problem is she can also dish it out. So be careful.
You'll have to really push me hard. And if you do, then you might as well just clear the room. I'm telling you now.
What was your nickname?
What was it
My
again?
nickname?
Yeah. What'd they call you?
Lady Blue.
Why'd they call you Lady Blue?
There used to be a television show on many years ago. It was short-lived, of a female detective. And the name of the show was Lady Blue. And all the guys that worked for me as security guards, they nicknamed me Lady Blue because they said I was just as crazy as she was. In fact, they made me a little vanity plate.
During this period of time, your slight demeanor and you're a small person.
I've softened up over the years.
Did you carry a baton or anything? And I don't mean one that you get out there and twirl out there up and down the football field.
A baton. Just like that one.
You mean a 2-foot stick?
And then the other one, and I carried a 5-cell K-light, which was very heavy. That'll crack your head open. Mace, handcuffs, gun. I carried it all. In fact, the belt weighed more than I did. You know what that's like.
I've never had one
30,
weigh more
40
than me,
pounds around your waist trying to run. That's why crooks outrun cops.
Well, that's why I did not like carrying all those extra bunches of stuff that they wanted to put on me. No, I don't need that. I got a gun and a stick. What else do I need?
Yeah, I have a great news story for
Just
you.
carry
You'll
extra
like this one.
magazines. I'd rather carry 4 extra magazines than to carry an extra whatever.
Well, I didn't carry it. See, I was carrying a revolver then. Everybody was going to the 45s, the Browning 45s and stuff. I loved my 357.
Mhm.
It is still, and it's engraved, Lady Boo. But I still love my 357. It was such a dependable,
For you
straight
folks who
shooting.
have not seen her 357, I have. And on the barrel of it, right across the front of it, if you look at it really close, okay,
Mhm.
wait for the flash. That's what it
Oh,
says.
Oh,
Good
Smile, wait
Lord.
for the flash.
Because I'm gonna tell you what, you put around in there and fire it off. It's a stream of fire that comes out of that barrel.
Mhm.
But I loved my
You gotta let you
357.
pop a round off with that little 4-inch barrel 44 Magnum.
We all
shot.
need to go shooting one day.
You won't want to shoot again after you do that 6
You don't
times.
think I can't handle it?
Oh, this is a challenge.
That's right. That's right.
Bring it on.
When it comes to the gun range, I can handle that. Used to own one.
Who's your doctor?
Same doctor as you.
Have you got a?
You've got a number on file. We gotta quit.
I'm gonna have to bring out the judge.
Oh yeah, that's a cute one too.
Shoots shotgun shells and
No,
38.
no,
I need a
410,
shotgun.
right?
410.
410
what
is
I
not
want,
a
a
shotgun.
shotgun.
Okay, you're right. 410.
I need a shotgun.
410 is a caliber. Did you know that?
I do now.
Yeah, .41. It's a 41 caliber.
It's all in.
It's loud.
Yeah, because it shoots both the 410 gauge shot shells, so the
Okay.
shotgun shot shells, and the 41 caliber, right?
Yep.
Or 40. What is it? It is 41, I believe, right? The judge.
38.
38.
It'll shoot a 38 and a 410.
Oh, I didn't mute, did
No,
I? Let me
no.
mute this thing. I forgot to mute.
All I
my
know
phone.
is I gotta make sure I gotta wear these.
Yes.
When I do it.
Yeah, because it's short barrels make loud noises.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question for the day for y'all.
Yes.
What are you doing?
There was a breaking news story came out. I didn't know it was going to be video, but I wanted to mute my phone because I forgot to mute it.
My question for the day is: given all of the news coverage surrounding airplane crashes, almost collisions, and airplane ground vehicle wrecks, have your fears of flying the friendly skies increased? That's what I'd like y'all to talk about. Are you more afraid today to fly? How about if you're a frequent flyer, one of those you have to fly for your job? You may have to flit from this part of the country to, New York or Los Angeles or somewhere in between. You have to fly a lot for your job, like consulting work, or you're somebody in a company, a corporation, a major corporation. You have to go from place to place to place to place, and you spend a lot of time on airplanes. Are you maybe more concerned these days about being a frequent flyer, concerned that perhaps your odds of being involved in such an incident have increased a lot? Are you concerned about that? You don't fly that much, do you?
Not
Well,
fly
you
quite a
know,
lot, yeah, but still as safer than traveling vehicles.
Right now, I think it's more hazardous on a cruise ship than it is an airplane.
Shh.
I know. I hate to just say that. Well,
Thank
still,
you.
you still have to fly, but I just every week there's a story about a cruise ship.
What about them?
Either the norovirus taking everybody out, or rough weather, or or there was one just I read yesterday, the engine stopped and they were dead in the water. I mean, I'm like, I don't know
It's
if I
just
want
a
to go on a
floating
cruise.
city out there. If the engines quit,
Do you want to go on one?
I don't like cruises
Too many
anyway.
people in one
Too
place.
close,
Is it?
Well, here's my
crowded?
problem.
No, it's
You get out there, and if you just want to go relaxing, that's cool. I can go down to the beach and relax. That's not a big deal. Do whatever. If you want to go to Las Vegas, you can do that. It's the same thing, except
Can you
you're out
fish
there on the
off
ocean.
boat?
No. But if you're out there, you're just going to be out there and sunning yourself, burning your brains out. If that's what you want to do, seeing the
can't
shows, or
do
you could
that
go to Las
anymore.
Vegas and sit by the pool during the day and do the shows at night. There's all this stuff. Is there glamours riding around on the ocean? Because you normally go from
Go
port
ahead,
to
tell
port
us,
to port
Chris.
to port, and you do that in the middle of the night, don't you?
well, you get there and then you have about 8 hours to go to the tourist attractions there. So,
And if you miss the boat,
you'll never miss a boat. And that's
yes, they do.
Sometimes they do. But I'm sitting in the balcony watching as they're saying, okay, you got to be back here by 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, we're leaving.
Right.
The same. People are just taking their time, and you end up leaving at 5. Give you examples. So this upcoming one is going to stop. They must have a contract to stop at Coco Cay at the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's a standard place.
Yeah. So while all the other
They call
people,
it their own island.
yeah, all the people go to there, we have the ship to ourselves. Not that we're going to do anything, but you got the whole ship to yourself. Then you're going to be
food?
Yeah.
There's food. I'm in.
Food, that is food 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's plenty. But when you can go to other countries, like we're going to Honduras and Mexico, but you go to the safe areas just right off the ship. It's basically where we go. Then after that, you just go back on the ship and do stuff.
Sure.
I've been able to
Shuffleboard.
Haven't reached that age, but I've zip lined. I've done the parachuting.
What do you parachute from and to?
It's the simulated.
I could do the
parachute.
simulation.
It's fake
Yes.
parachuting.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can climb rocks. You can play
Fake
putt-putt. I didn't know what else. Like
I like that fake parachuting.
Simulating.
Right. No, you were right. I was laughing at him.
You've got and there's gambling. There's good shows. There's great shows on there. You just chill out and you carry one suitcase.
So do you actually like captain's night or whatever, get all dressed up in gowns and for
Do
you
I?
suit?
Do
I added suit.
No.
They don't do that?
No. They do it. I don't do it.
Was it extra or something?
No.
But you
carry it
do
with you.
have the opportunity. You could dress up in your fitness.
Oh, you can dress up to the hilt, and many of them do. Get their picture taken with the captain, but I get my picture taken with the captain anyway.
And if you bring me a picture, I can put a tuxedo on you if you want. Photoshop. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's
We could fix it right up for you. I've always wanted to take a cruise, but now that I have gotten older, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to go be with a bunch of people stuck on a boat and everybody gets sick.
I did once. It's when my dad was ill, and then he wanted to take the whole family. I mean, the whole family on a cruise, and we did.
Nice.
We drove down to Florida, and I did that week. I endure it. I just did it because it was family, and
Of
and
course.
it was him. And
I would do it.
And he was in such a good shape. He's a World War II veteran, Navy.
Mhm.
So he had never been aboard any. Well, he had been on several cruises. I had never been with him, but he had talked about them. So he wanted to go to the Bahamas and booked the cruise for the whole family. A bunch of us went. We caravanned down to Florida, got aboard the boat, and out at sea, he said, "Let's take a walk." He had been
Out at
sailing a
sea?
lot. Huh?
Out at sea, he said, let's take a walk.
That thing is like a city. You understand that, right?
They have
Okay.
a track.
He wanted to go down to places that, can you get us in? What do you think? We could get down towards the engine room? I said, we can get close to it. So I know where it is.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
let's go. So we did. Then we got down there, and then we went from the very bottom as low as we could to as high as you could go on that boat without climbing the antennas.
Wow.
And he wanted to walk, and he did. So we did. We took a stroll.
Now, I do prefer, though, to go to an all-inclusive beach area because you still can leave the property. You can go play golf. You can go to the mountains, go wherever, depending on which locations you go to.
I think it's the same as staying in the United States is when you do that. And I've never stayed there. I've been to some of them in Jamaica, just passed through and whatever, and they were so sterile. I want to deal with who are the locals, and that's what I would do because I'm not one of those that's skittish of everybody that you go to in some of these countries because I can talk to them and they understand me. It doesn't take long, and when I say no, no.
But it's interesting because when I was at City Hall the other day talking about Crime Stoppers and Reach Across America, and ran into an old friend who was actually celebrating their 30th year there.
Wow. Oh,
30th year.
Oh yeah.
was it a female?
Yes, it was. You know exactly who.
See?
She's endured
our
enough.
friend
Yeah,
that we
I
did,
know who you're
but
talking about.
I just want to know, would she talk to me and tell me where the bodies are buried? The ones that she didn't put there.
She's a nice lady.
She's
done
in
a lot for the
HR
city.
now, or was in HR, but she wants to retire in about 3 years to go see places in America, which is what I'd like
That
to do.
would be good.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Is that the one?
No, that's a different one. Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone Park. I'd like to go to Niagara Falls.
Be careful. We got some barrels up there. Don't rent the barrel. Okay, whatever you don't rent the barrel.
So I mean, there's nice places to see there, but
yeah, but I want to go on my own. I don't want to take tours. I don't want to do that. No. Probably the only real cruise/tour thing that I would like to do, and simply because it's out of my capabilities to do it on my own, would be to go up into the Pacific Northwest and watch the whales and go up there to the glacier area, and, just simply for photos. I would consider that boat my platform. Yeah. And that's all I care about. Wow. And eating all the crab legs that I can get my hands on.
Yes, sir. Really? They have crab legs on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, uh-huh.
No, sign me up. Give me a ticket.
That's Kathy.
I didn't mention this when we were talking about the SpaceX returning to Earth and when it splashed down into the ocean. There was a pod of dolphins swimming all around it and jumping. I got a couple pictures of it, but unless you knew what you were looking at, but it was so cool. It's like the dolphins were welcoming, like, welcome home, welcome home.
They're curious and they're friendly. I mean, I've never dove up close with them, but I'm in Curacao. We were down about 80 feet and doing my thing, pictures. When you're shooting photos, I don't know whether you've ever heard some of the electronic strobes when they recharge after you flash it, they go, charge up, right?
Right.
Underwater, that's kind of like magnified, and I carry my camera at that time. I carried 2 strobes on it, so when it popped, it go, and it's kind of loud. And I started hearing this. Hadn't fired my camera. I started hearing strange whirring sounds and stuff. What in the world? Stopped my strobe. I kept looking at it. And I looked overhead, and 80 feet up was a pod of dolphin doing their little dolphining routine, and they come around and they circle. But I said, God, I wish I could get up there. But, to go from 80 feet to 0, it takes some time to do it. Otherwise, you do some bad things to your body.
During warm weather, my sister and I, we would do that sometimes early in the morning. We would, take our coffee or chocolate and donuts or whatever and go sit on the beach. And it best time it was around 7:30, and you would see schools, pods and pods and pods of them.
Did you ever see
it was just so
get
beautiful.
Out there and start putting on a show?
Well,
at Carolina Beach one morning, it was in the wintertime. I just walked out on the beach and a bunch of people had gathered. There were about a half dozen dolphin out there, and they were doing loops. They looked like trained dolphins, and they were just doing flips.
That's
and they're
what
doing
they
all
were
sorts
doing
of stuff
around the spaceship.
Right in the surf.
It was so cool.
They saw the people. I know they saw us, and they were just putting on a show. They're more human than most humans.
They're beautiful creatures, just like deer.
Oh, well, the difference is deer taste good too.
I knew that was coming. I knew it.
There was a message behind it when I said, just like deer. We have to do weather.
As the National Weather Service predicted, the end of this week is going to be a bit more challenging for those wanting to venture out there into the ocean offshore today. Northwesterly winds 20 to 25 knots, diminishing to 15 to 20 this afternoon, gust to 30 knots. Seas kind of big, 5 to 8 this morning. Come down this afternoon, 4 to 6. That's still too sloppy for most of us. Near shore, seas 3 to 5 feet. Sounds and rivers rough, diminishing to choppy in the afternoon. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds still blustery, 20 to 25. Gust to 35 to 7-footer. Sounds and rivers. Guess what? They're going to be rough. Sunday, a better day with northerly winds, only 10 to 15 knots, becoming easterly 5 to 10 in the afternoon, 2 to 3 footers. That's a much more doable situation. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon.
Okay. And today, Friday, sunny with a high near 62, northwest wind 11 to 15 miles per hour with gust as high as 23. Tonight, patchy frost after 2 a.m. Otherwise, increasing clouds with a low around 37.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, sunny with a high near 73. Sunday, sunny with a high near 71.
Nice. And a slight chance of frost in some areas.
Yes. But it said patchy frost, so pick your patch.
Yeah, there you go. There's so much confusion about what's going on in Washington these days. I'm not far from being the last person you want to try to explain or justify anything to. Honestly, a couple of you are probably less informed about this mess in Washington than I am, because at least I look at all sides. Mm-hmm. Not that I know much, but I know I don't know much. I can at least look at what the possibilities are. There are those that I see on today's watered down, hyped up versions of news with media experts, some who may have been working in the news business for a whole year, maybe even 2, with their diplomas from one school or another hanging in their apartments, never experienced in the real world before, and that makes them the experts that actually think they are and tell us what's going on. Here's the problem.
Oh, no.
Those individuals provide us with their interpretations of the daily events, having little to nothing to base their opinions on, only looking at whatever the latest ROTD, rhetoric of the day. Rhetoric of the day is that crosses their computers. To complicate matters, the ROTD is too often provided as an interpretation of what another brand new face into the news world has seen on some website somewhere, or maybe even, guess this, they watched it on the competing news outlet's website, and then they regurgitate it. In other words, they puke it up. We're given short, heavily edited sound bites that often scare us into thinking the end of the world is upon us, that half of all Americans are going bankrupt, that the job market is freezing up because some taxpayer-funded government workers who have been deemed worthless are getting axed. That's the story we're hearing. Mm-hmm. Surfing, not in the ocean. Not mine. Yeah. Surfing, I found that back in 2017. These are some numbers. Back in 2017, 6 years before the second date I'll give you, excluding military personnel and postal employees, excluding the military personnel we had in 2017 and postal employees we had in 2017, there were 2.6 million civilians working for the federal government. 2.6 million civilians working for the federal government, another 2.6 million annuitants. What is an annuitant? I looked it up. Those are former federal employees collecting annuities or federal retirements. We've got as many people retired as we have working for the federal government collecting money.
Hallelujah.
Huh. By 2023, 6 years later, the number of civilians working for the federal government, excluding the military and postal employees, increased. How many was it before? 2.6. Increased by 500,000. Exceeding 3 million employees 6 years later. 3 million. That is do the math, y'all, 19% increase in the number of federal employees between 2017 and 2023. Federal civilians employees. They're on the payroll. The population increase from 2017 to 2023 is what you need to look at when you make such comparisons, right? What was the population increase between 2017 and 2023? Federal employees are there to service us, right?
Right.
That's what they're there to do, to service the population.
Yeah.
How much do you think the population increase percentage-wise from 2017 to 2023?
2%.
3. Less than 3.
Less than 3, yeah.
Slightly less than 3%. So they increased the federal number of federal workers by 19%, increased the population by less than 3%. In 2017, to boil it down to basics for you, there was one civilian federal worker for every 125 men, women, and children in this country. Mm-hmm. In 2023, there was one federal worker for every 112 men, women, and children in this country. Does that mean anything to anybody but me?
Well, it's just like I was listening to Congressman Murphy talking at town hall. He said the problem with Social Security right now is there's been less people born and less people out there working to retire, less people out working to contribute to it. He says because our population is dropping.
Our population is increasing.
He says it's dropping.
At this increase in federal workers, how long before there will be one federal employee for every person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when will we reach a 50-50 ratio? It ain't going to be that many years. Not in my lifetime, but it won't be that many years if we keep it up at this rate. A reasonable person should understand that we cannot sustain that kind of lifestyle. Are we just hiring more federal workers? Here's my side. Are we just hiring more federal workers because it looked great to say more people were employed, falsely reducing the unemployment numbers for political purposes? Give it some thought. We had more people unemployed, so what can I do as a president to get more people employed? I'll hire them. I'll create new jobs. I'll create new jobs in the federal government. Creating jobs in the federal government is not taking care of the problem. You're having more people doing less for fewer people per person. More people are working. We know that the federal government generally pays more people more money to do the same jobs that non-federal workers for doing the same jobs are paid, right?
Right.
Yeah. They pay dish diggers a whole lot more money per person. Being around here, this neck of the woods, all you have to do is look around at the numbers of prior service military personnel. Many of them getting retirement incomes, medically retired or otherwise, returning to the workforce as civilian federal employees, oftentimes doing the same jobs they had when they were in the Marine Corps or the Navy or the Air Force, definitely making more money than before.
Yep.
Walmart is the biggest private company in the world. You know that? In 2024, worldwide, this giant employed 2.1 million people. In 2024. In 2017, this giant of a company employed 2.1 million people. In 2017, there were 260 million customer visits to Walmart stores worldwide, climbing to 275 million in 2019, then dropping to a low of 230 million in 2022. By last year, the number of customer visits per week were back up to 255 million and climbing. The number of Walmart employees remained the same throughout, 2.1 million. Before you blast any administration for wanting to cut back on the bulging the number of federal employees, you might want to sit down and do a little bit of math. And don't forget, the current administration is doing what then candidate Donald Trump said he was going to do. Mm-hmm. The current administration is doing exactly what the current administration's president said he was going to do. Somehow, a majority of the voters decided that they wanted him to do just that. I'm not hearing a lot of those voters complaining, those voters who voted for him, because he's doing what they wanted him to do. I can't say that about a lot of Democrats who were apparently disappointed in the way that Joe Biden performed when he was their president. As it was with Donald Trump's first term in the White House, Biden did not perform as those who put him there wanted him to do. And he was kicked to the curb in 2020. Yeah,
certainly was.
Not by the Republicans, but by the Democrats that put him there. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump was kicked to the curb in 2020. Trump was kicked to the curb in 2020, not by the not by the Democrats, but by the Republicans.
Yep.
And they elected Joe Biden. The country did. That's my 2 cents worth.
I saw a news story last night. It had to do with Tesla. And that they caught 3. Three of them.
Really going through
and they were going to go through more, but it seemed like One of the news stories, it had to do with the fact that it's Elon Musk that's leading this charge of finding all these
Yes.
wasteful jobs. What's
wrong with finding somebody who knows what they're doing, looking into it? Are they disputing that these jobs are? We got to have these people. We've got to have that other 80,000 people that Joe Biden put to work in that one position. But he took them off the unemployment line. He put them to work. But we got to have them now. Trump wants to kick them down.
Can most people say, "What did you do? Tell me what you did 5 things this week when you were at the Postal Service."
Who cannot do
I
that?
could do 5 things in the first 3 hours.
Oh, I could
It
have
was
done it. Yeah.
constant.
So why were people griping about, hey, just give us a list of what you did over the last 5 days, one thing a day. Tell me what you
5.
did.
That's nothing. The biggest thing is I walked through the door,
Well,
walked in.
unfortunately, that's what a lot of people would. That's
Yes.
about the only thing that they could say they did. They walked through the door. What were your accomplishments this week? During this past 5 days, what were your accomplishments?
You ever think about asking a congressman or a senator that same question?
I have to do that all the time. I think about it all the time. One of the reasons, because I'm not the only one that has done that over the past, one of the reasons that Dr. Murphy and, oh my God, I get them from Tillis, I get them from Bud, I get them from a number of congressmen, including Democrats, because I sign up for them. And they send out a weekly newsletter. Here's what I did. Here's where I was, because so many people like me would ask them, okay, well, God, you guys get a lot of vacation time, don't you? Well, let me tell you where I was during my vacation and what I was doing. And so therefore they took the initiative themselves and they started having, either they wrote it, probably not them, but somebody on their staff wrote, here's what the congressman, here's what the senator, here's what Joe Blow was doing this past week or last week. They do that. They've taken the initiative now. The smart ones have taken that initiative. The ones that should not be there are still sitting back waiting for people like me to ask them, what were you doing on your vacation? Well, I went to Greece and I saw, I saw the Colosseum. I took a cruise. Oh, have you ever been on a cruise? I mean, some of them are just about that dumb.
Well, I know our congressman was in Jacksonville yesterday meeting with Jacksonville officials.
Was it yesterday? Or I know he was here.
I thought it was yesterday. It might have been the day before, but it was this week. He was here this week. Mm-hmm. And our senator, our state senator, that man is everywhere, always doing something. Mm-hmm. And you think, and he owns businesses, so if he's not sitting in the General Assembly, he's working. Mm-hmm. His businesses, you either see him at the sign company or back there making pizzas. Mm-hmm. And he's still dealing with people,
like me,
wanting to talk to him, about something that they need done. Yep. So there are some that work
there
really
are
hard.
People who do work very hard. There are the slackers out there. If you were able to sit down and you could get, Shifty on the line, Mr. Shift. Mm-hmm. Get him on the line and ask him what he's done in the last 2 weeks. Can you tell me off the top of your head what you tell me everywhere you've been?
How many protests have you been to?
You can tell me everywhere you've been and what you've done in the last 2 weeks. Right, Chris?
Yeah.
What was that new word the Democrats are shouting right now? Obligatory? No.
Okay.
It's a new, I have to write it down and see if that can. Yeah.
Oh.
I'll have to look it up and see if this is the correct word. But I'm like, what? It's the new word of the week. I'll see if I can find it.
If you cannot dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your BS.
Obligatory crap. I can't even. No, I can't even begin.
Well, Monday, when I was honored to be on the show and talk about Crime Stoppers and Reach Across America, I immediately left here with a shirt for each organization and went out and stopped at businesses. Mm-hmm. And changed shirts depending on what I was talking about. Now, I don't get paid. I don't want the money. It's going to go to the cause. But you're right. These I love watching the fact that when they're in they're showing the U.S. Senate in session, representatives, the seats are all empty.
Yeah.
Okay, so are they out doing something? Talking to PACs?
How many politically motivated individuals are sitting in their offices waiting to talk with them? How many non-politically motivated people do they see each week? That would be the question. How many people of the opposing party do you see each week? How many people of the opposing party do you try to see each week?
See a lot of them walking the halls, and they've got about 7 or 8 aides with them, telling them what to say.
Yeah. Turn around. Can you, Joe, do you know what he's out talking about? Can you give me the information on that? Oh, no, Joe, don't give it to me. Call him and tell him what I said. Call him and tell him what I said. In other words, you have no clue, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator. Sorry, I don't want to be down on all of them, because all of them are not like that. And hopefully a majority of them are not like that. But we have a significant number up there that are absolutely nothing but placeholders.
But one thing you touched on earlier, and it's true, and I don't really have anything against it. When you leave the military, there's a good chance you're going to fill a slot in the.
If you are a career military guy, and some of them will get out after 20, okay, they got a full life ahead of them. They just get, which is great, no problem. I hired a guy who was a photographer in the Navy. He was in Beirut when he went boom, boom. And he brought a bunch of the pictures in. So that's how he got a job with me as a photographer. He enlisted when he was 17. He was 37 when he retired.
Wow.
And they came to looking for a job. And I
37?
said, oh, yeah. Have you ever shot any video? No.
How do you
I did 20 years.
20 years.
And then
It's not much of a retirement.
And then I took a look at his picture. I said, you're hired. If you can do this, I can train you to do the video. That's not a big deal. You got the eye, no problem. And I hired him. And he worked for me for years and years and years. Great guy. Military experience. Oh my God, great. He probably would not have been in those days recruited to go back to work as a civilian in the military. He just, first of all, he got out of the military, and he got out of the military thought processes.
Sure.
But a lot of guys do, and I've got nothing against them. All right, somebody's got to go out and fill those billets. Why not hire somebody who's got the experience, who's working in that same field? I have no problem with that.
That's
all right. They should not be excluded.
No.
I mean, they've got qualifications, they got training, they got experience. I would rather have that than to have some doofus who can't get a job somewhere and has never done anything to go fill those critical positions.
Well, they're disciplined, they're trained.
They understand the language.
Yeah.
So all of that's good.
I have
and I'm not discounting any of that.
Right. Well, we really haven't got into it. You touched on it trying to open up the can this morning about the Department of Education.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know about the cans. I pull pins.
Just real quick, hopefully that we'll be getting a call in about 10 minutes from a concerned parent over some
situation
that happened with her son in a classroom. And just to kind of give you a clue what it was about, it was supposedly, and she's going to explain when she calls the parent, White Oak High School teacher sent a web link to all the students in the class, and it was a political ideological. Yeah, I was trying to read what I had here. Questionnaires. Some of the questions asked were their views on same-sex relationships. The test came back and kids were labeled as either liberal or conservative.
Now, I read that stuff when you sent it to me yesterday, and I said, what, this is just about stupid. This sounds like a poll.
Right.
It sounds like the pollsters that I'm familiar with, that I've dealt with over the years, who always send out these polls, or individuals who may ask me a question, don't you agree?
Well, the thing about
Let me finish this.
Yes.
Don't you agree, or would you not agree Well, you've just tainted that whole question. Here's a question that I read yesterday about, it's from one of those things on there. It says, what are common unfair practices Marines encounter on Navy ships, regardless of what the story is?
Right.
Listen to the question. What are common unfair practices Marines encounter on ships? Now, wait a minute. So now I have to assume that what you're saying is fact, that Marines encounter unfair practices on ships.
Right.
So it's like the polls. Would you not agree that President Trump is doing a crappy job?
Mm-hmm.
You're already tainting the
yeah.
question.
Yeah.
You just tainted the question by putting it like that. Don't ask me if I agree on anything. What do I think about Donald Trump and his whatever the topic of the day is? I'll tell you. But don't ask me if I agree, because no, first of all, I do not agree with anybody. Most days I don't agree with me. So why would I agree to something right off the top of the list when I don't even have a clue what you're talking about?
Well, what I was going to say, and I'm sorry interrupting, was that once again, this is another example of how the federal government was trying to cram DEI into our schools.
So the question, that's basically on a questionnaire, right?
Right.
The question to students was,
do you, I got to go back and get it here. I think it was like, do you, let me see, because we had quite a conversation.
They have to fill out something. And then anyway, at the end of that, somebody decides whether they're a Democrat or a Republican.
Some of the questions asked their views on same-sex relationships. This test came back and kids were then labeled as either liberal or conservative.
In other words, Democrat or Republican.
Why should any of that doo-doo be in the school? Why are we, let's how about math? Do you know the schools in the United States are the poorest performing schools in the world?
I don't know how you can even say that. I don't know. I do not understand how you can say that, because every candidate for governor of the great state of North Carolina, since I can recall, has labeled himself or herself in one case as the education governor. Without exception, they always say, I am going to be the education governor, and we're going to bring North Carolina out of the toilet and bring it up higher in ratings. Where are we today as compared to 1970? The ratings for the 50 states, the same.
Well, you know, I was watching a program last night.
According to those who do those stupid tests.
And there was a newsman actually out on the street and going up to college kids and asking them questions like, where's Ukraine? And you get this blank deer in the headlight look from this one young lady. She's like, I mean, and they were asking them simple questions. They went up to a couple of them and said, do you know where Kamala's at? And they were like, who? You know, I mean, no clue.
This is back to the days of Johnny Carson when they had the streetwalker.
I love that.
I forgot that guy's name. He was a little guy, and they would send him out on the streets, and with a mic and a camera, and he would walk up to people. Who's the vice president of the United States?
Right.
Who is the yada? I mean, common sense that anybody. And they didn't ask just dummies on the street. He's talking to college kids generally.
Right.
Who is the vice president of the United States? Who was the first president of the United States? Who was the 16th president of the United States?
Right.
Whatever the topic of the day was. And they did not know. The vast majority of them did not know.
Well, they asked this one college student, what was I just getting ready to say? Just went over my head. Oh, they asked her, who was the first president of the United States?
That's one of the
she
questions
could
they asked.
not answer.
Yeah. Now, if you will ask any immigrant who has obtained his or her citizenship, they will answer more questions about U.S. history accurately than the average college student. That's what the polls have shown.
Well, that's why I want to tie that into the bus coming in, because it is to teach. There's 3 items to our mission statement, but one of them is to teach our new generation about the military of the past, the present, and what we're looking for in
Why
in
does
the
that
future.
impact me?
Because they need to
Why-
know.
Why does that? How does that impact me? I'm not going into the military.
No, but all these Lee's parents, your relatives, my dad, and other relatives have fought for the freedom for these young people to be able to say
That's
the
right.
things that they're saying. And I think they don't understand where the freedom came from.
You know,
Right,
the
right.
one question I ask when people say, "Why do I need to know any of that?" I said, "If it wasn't for them, you would not be speaking English today."
Right. We have a young lady on the phone that would like to talk about what I was just talking about, something that happened in the schools. And I don't know if she wants to give her name or not, but good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing great. You want to explain to everyone listening what exactly happened?
So my son came home and he goes to White Oak High School. He was a little hesitant in telling me because he thinks I maybe overreact sometimes, but this concerned me. The teacher, and I'm not sure if it was maybe a social sciences class or some political class that he's in, sent a link to a website on his school computer, which was basically a barometer of the students' individual political views. And some of the questions were, how do you feel about gay relationships? It focused on that a lot, which, you know, what does it matter at that age, really?
Right.
So they took this test, and it came back, and my son was surprised to be labeled as a liberal, as well as most of his class. And, you know, instead of teaching the children the differences between conservatism and liberalism, now they want to put these children in categories before they're even able to vote. And I strongly feel like they are coaching these children into certain views to accomplish a certain agenda.
I have to agree.
You know, when I saw this question when Lee sent it to me yesterday, I was thinking about a really good friend of mine. When I lived in Wilmington, she was a friend of mine for the whole time I was there because I knew her. I knew her granddaddy. I knew her daddy, and it was blatantly obvious because of her. She didn't try to hide anything that she was lesbian. Okay. You know, she's got a hunting license. She carries a gun. She's a Republican. She votes as the most conservative individual you will ever run into, and she'll beat you down if you don't think so. So, you know, when you start labeling people based upon their sexual preferences or anything else, you got a problem, not them. You are asking that question. You got that problem, not you, but that teacher.
No, I understand. It's inappropriate.
It's totally inappropriate, especially at that age.
I have to agree with you.
Yes.
Well, and that's
Should I call the Board of Education and say something, or will this maybe bring light to?
I would call Dr. Barnes. He's the new superintendent. I would definitely call him and let him know because I don't know that we should be.
Have you been to the principal first? I'm
sorry?
I'm still one of those that looks at the chain of command.
Chain of command.
Have you been to the principal yet?
No, I haven't. My son is sort of trying to hold back. He wants me to hold back because he doesn't want me to embarrass him, of course, teenagers.
Well,
but, okay.
Could I ask a question? Because I know high school now starts at 9th grade, right?
Yes.
I have no idea.
What grade is your son in?
He's in 9th grade.
Oh, Lord.
He has a 4.5
Oh, Lord.
He's a smart kid. Yeah. He realized what they were doing, which is why he expressed the concern with me that it might have been a little inappropriate to categorize these kids at such a young age when they really don't even know how to order a meal at a restaurant yet, let alone decide who their political preference is.
9th grade is like, what, 14 now? Maybe?
14, yes.
Okay.
I have to stop right here and say that I cannot believe your baby boy is in high school now. Where has time gone?
Oh, I know. Time
my
is a
gosh,
thief.
girl.
But I'm not sure. My point is this: 14 years old asking these kind of questions.
No. I mean, you know, And well, let's see, ninth grade. Let me think about what I was doing. Let's see, did I take a home ec class that year?
I did.
For 1 week, I was in home ec. I was taking shop, but they switched us around for 1 week. They were teaching me on which side of the plate to put the freaking fork on. Okay.
Yeah,
I did not know
exactly.
that at that time, and that was more important than asking me about a gay relationship. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was not even a school generated survey. This was something that was created outside of school environment.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Was it vetted yet through the administration?
I doubt
You know?
You mean at the school? Probably not.
I doubt
not through the county office, I'm sure, but hopefully through the principal before you do something like that. I mean, didn't this teacher think that might be a little bit off the wall or a little bit controversial?
It sounds like
Well, I
something
mean,
they shouldn't have
that's
been putting out there.
Unless there's another agenda that
That's what I'm saying.
pushed, which, yeah.
Where did he or she get that survey?
On their school laptop.
No. But where did the person who originated that get it? Did he or she, the teacher, come up with those questions, or did she or he find it somewhere else?
It was a published, I guess, political view questionnaire.
Meant for kids or meant for adults?
I'm not sure. My son is being kind of mum about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have asked him to send me the link. He's going to work on that. Before I go to the school, I am going to find out that information. Yeah.
That's wise.
I'm smelling a Harper Valley PTA lady headed for the system. Okay, that's what I'd be doing. I would have that song playing on my telephone in the background as I head for the office.
Right. Well, keep us posted on what happens, and if you need some names and phone numbers for anybody on the Board of Education, let me know. I have them.
And if you need anybody to help you do a little bit of a background,
Yes.
on whatever you need background done on, the source of
We
that
can
stuff,
do
let
it.
me know.
Yes.
Well, besides
Okay.
Harper Valley PTA, I got a feeling the song that these boots were made for walking.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad you
Ready
brought.
for kicking.
I'm glad that it's brought to light because I don't think that's my opinion. I find it very inappropriate.
I'd like to see the whole questionnaire.
Yes.
And I'd like to know where it came
I
from.
agree.
That's the two things that I want to say. But
Lee,
Watch
I
the
will
two
get
much
you
judgment.
that web
Okay.
link, and I'll get your email
All right.
from Debbie, and I'll send it to you.
Sounds good, girl. All
Okay.
right. I know you've got to go to work.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a
sharing
great
that.
day.
We do appreciate that.
You as well.
All right, bye. What?
I wish
No.
that
Well, I find it extremely inappropriate. The
Well,
questionnaire.
I want to see all of it.
I wanna see all
we
of
got
it,
one
too.
side. We've heard what the youngster told mom and
Mhm.
whatever, and she's trying to get the whole facts herself.
Right.
But yeah,
We do have to-
We want to
yeah.
know, and she
We
wants to
want to
know.
know. I do know this young lady, and I do trust what she's saying.
Mhm.
But like you, we need to see the whole thing.
Her kids being
because-
asked these questions, and I got a cat that's 3 years older than her, 5 years older than her kid.
Because I'm gonna tell you
And
what,
I wouldn't trust those questions
this-
with my cat.
I guarantee you, if this pans out like it looks like it is, I guarantee. I don't think the school administration's going to like it.
No, not
Not
school
one bit.
administration that I know.
That's right, and I think it's another one of those victims of DEI. Somebody wanting to push it on their own.
Don't
That's
know.
just my opinion.
I don't know anything until I know more.
Yes, well, we'll find out more. But wow,
My goodness gracious! What in the world?
what? Wow.
Can I say
Wow.
something on a good note?
You go right
Please.
ahead.
9 days.
9 days.
Before the bus comes to town.
Well, actually,
No, it's less than that. It's 5 days.
5 for the bus, but 9 days before you can use your Crime Stopper barbecue tickets.
I know.
When
I
you're
want
ready.
you
I know
so
you're
bad.
ready.
And I pass it every day, and it's not quite open yet. And on my way home, but
Here's what I'm going to do. Y'all ever remember Wimpy on
Oh, yeah. Popeye.
Popeye? Wimpy. You ever
I'd
see that?
gladly pay you
I
back on
remember
Tuesday.
Popeye.
So I'm gonna go there today. I'm gonna get my meals. I say I'm gonna bring you the tickets on the 1st of April.
We're
that
horrible. We're horrible. We're horrible people. Look at the
See the way my mind goes is
Look-
really weird. I need some help.
That's not-
Kelly, you need to be back in
look
here.
at the trouble we
At the
gave
couch.
Havelock High School over not letting us bring in hot chocolate, and now we're talking about trying to swindle
We were
Smithfields.
we were we were doing some sneaky
I'm
stuff.
surprised they didn't have our pictures up
We were
there.
smuggling stuff.
Here they come. We're
We
going to
would
pat you
bring in
down.
hot chocolate.
They wouldn't let us bring
Well,
it
that's
in.
what it takes to get patted down. I don't know. I might try to smuggle some hot
Well,
chocolate.
So when you went to the Cardinal game,
Oh, I didn't have
it was
problem.
cold that night.
Yeah, I had hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have trouble at the Cardinal. We didn't have
No.
trouble anywhere else. So
Nope.
they had to say, no,
Cardinals.
you can't do it. You can't bring it in. You want me to walk from here, from the visitor side, with my cane across around that track? Can't go across. I tried to go across the field one time. The referees got mad.
We seniors.
But when I have to walk all the way around to the other side where they had the hot chocolate, how hot do you think that's going to be when I get back around limping?
yeah, he come back with our hot chocolate. We're going, oh, it's cold.
It's ice. It's ice milk. What are you
They
talking
should
about?
have some kind of like golf cart or something that they could take us seniors to the other
No,
side.
they should just place the order and they bring it back.
Well, they had another concession stand
Yes.
open next to us. Did you see
They
that?
didn't have hot
But
chocolate.
they didn't have hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's cold. I wanted hot chocolate.
Mm.
I make a big thermos jug full of it.
Well, one more plug if I can.
Oh,
Smithfield's
please, jump in when you
barbecue. So we just have we'll be selling the tickets throughout the month of April, but if you buy them early, you'll be able to, like Rayford, you bought two, Lee bought two
I bought 2 so far.
so far. So you can use them twice, one for barbecue, or as Rayford you'd like to call it,
Dead pig.
or chicken.
No, yard bird.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm going to get
Dead
some
pig and yard
today.
bird available.
And your choice of barbecue, your choice of your two sides, $10, no tax.
No tax.
No tax.
You can get to cheat the government just a little bit here.
Yeah.
Every little 70 cents helps me.
So, and if you need any, go to my Facebook page or write down 910-389-8698. I actually have delivered and gone to people's homes to give them one ticket.
Now, for you businesses out there,
That's
why don't
very
you go
nice.
ahead and plan on picking a day during the month and buy a bunch of tickets, buy 10 tickets. Say you got 10 employees there. You go ahead and pick up 10 tickets. I mean, it's $100. You're going to throw that away before you get home. Buy $100 worth of tickets and then tell these folks, this is the day that I'm going to go by and pick up all this stuff. Write down what you want and I will go get it for you. I will take these 10 tickets in there. And guess what? We've just done for Crime Stoppers as well.
Yeah. And that's the big one. I went and picked up some checks. One business bought 35 tickets for their employees.
Really?
And they can go anytime they want. Another business did 30. And another one's going to get some of, they're going to have theirs delivered because we will deliver 10 or more with 24-hour notice. But a lot of them just buy them for their employees and say, here,
Now,
go
here's
whenever
the
you
other
want.
thing I would do. You ready for this one, guys?
Okay.
You got 50 employees. Go ahead and buy 40 tickets. And then say, those of you who can tell me or prove to me that you did 5 things last week that I approve of, that I think are beneficial, y'all get a ticket each. The other 10 of you need to work a little bit harder. What do you think about that? I mean, this is an incentive program, right?
Yeah.
So if you got 50 employees, go ahead and buy 40 tickets and let them know it.
Yeah, we used to have those that were incentive programs.
Well,
I think they're very good to have.
I went and I was stopping at Moore Buick actually Monday when I left here. And I saw Robin.
Uh-huh.
I'm going today.
Tuesday, I also saw him on
Robin
Tuesday.
will run out the back door if you're warning him.
He already knows because the
He'll be out the
salesmen
back
get
door.
notified whenever you make an appointment for service.
Well, they're trying to sell you a new truck. That's what it is.
So he
Robin, I'm not buying a new truck. Not unless you have a Hummer.
he had a great sense of humor because of Stephanie.
Right.
And we talked about that, but
That was funny.
drop some off. Drop some information off over there.
What kind of
Okay.
truck?
But-
What kind of car is Robin driving?
He's driving a Canyon like mine, only it's a different color. His is gosh,
I
Robin.
think I'm going to
I think
get me a
this is
little personalized license plate for
gold
the front of
brownish.
his car and put it on there.
And what's it going to say, Stephanie?
It was all in fun. I mean,
He's
It was.
He's going to have a
I
fit.
just got so tickled when he said, "Yeah, I've known Chris and Stephanie Marks," and then I'm like, I busted out laughing because I'm sure
Oh, he had something.
he had something else on it. It happens.
I happen
I
all
tell
the
you
time. I
Yeah.
call you Kelly.
That's right. I
And I
have a
call
lot of
her
people
Lee.
call me Kelly and call her Lee. I mean, it happens. But I just had to take that little opportunity to just go after him because he would not hesitate to do it to
Oh
me.
yeah, absolutely. It's a personal thing.
It's a
between the two of
personal
you.
thing with Robin.
Well, yeah. Well, had gone up to him before the county commissioners meeting,
Right.
and I was talking to him. He goes, "You're gonna have to talk up a little bit louder because we just had a workshop." And I'm not sure how long that workshop lasted, but he looked wore out from the
Yeah, the
workshop.
county commissioners,
It was
the
a
city council
boring-
members, all of those individuals, they, especially this time of year, it's budget time. So they're having to
Yeah.
go through workshop after workshop after
Mhm.
workshop. So, and they do this for like 5 months about,
Yeah.
and they do it constantly.
It's
They have to
boring.
listen to department heads. They have to listen to the manager, tell them, here's what's going on. Here's what we need. And, it's time consuming. And you don't think they got something else on their minds as well? Their work, their family lives, and all this other stuff that normal people, that's the only thing they do. And then they got this county commission job, and it is a job for $13,000 a year. It's a heck of a job. I think that's what I don't know what their pay is, but I think that's what it used to be not long ago. That ain't much money
No.
to be putting up with the public for a year at a time.
And I respect all anybody that runs for office. I respect
Oh, I
anyone
do
that gets
too.
elected.
Well, give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
Always give them a chance.
I got to tell you, he'll tell it to you like it is. He's just gonna
Yeah.
put it out
And
there.
then I just disagree with it. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
But their family members are buried over at the Coastal State
Yep.
Veteran Cemetery, and
It's important. So this Wreaths Across America next Wednesday.
yeah, looking forward to it.
That's a bus. That's not a bus. Am I right?
It's not it's not really a bus. The good picture of it was in the article that Morgan Starling did.
She did.
It's too large, very large.
Truck thingamabobbers.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
18-wheeler pulls it in.
Now here's the folks when you say, "Oh, it's not a bus." Well, if you ever listen to any of those police shows on there, and the guy gets on the radio, "I need a bus over here right away." Well, that's an ambulance.
That's
an ambulance.
Ambulances
I knew
don't
that.
come in the
Yeah.
form of buses. All right, it's something that people say. All right, yeah, it's just the way it is. Y'all get over it.
And for those military organizations, and I'm pretty sure the VFW is coming out there, but if you have a military
can say.
organization, you're welcome to come set up out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And we're going to be set up out there, and which is nice. What National Wreaths Across America does is on the inside, they will have wreaths honoring our fallen veterans as the site that if you want to make a donation.
Very good.
And we'll have our banner out there. And of course,
good.
we're loving the fact that you folks will be out there.
We're gonna stop by for sure.
Oh, we're going to be there.
We're gonna
Right.
do some
You know.
cut-ins. For
I've
dang
already,
sure.
already planned on lunch.
Lean
We're already
or
there.
Dead.
lean or moist.
It's just,
Dead.
I'll decide when I get up there. I'll be like,
I got to look at because they got all different types of barbecue sauce. You can pick what you
Oh,
want.
yeah.
yes.
So it comes out to you. Then you pick. I like this. I
Sitting
kinda
at the
mix it from
tables,
time to
yeah,
time
you
and
can just.
mix a little bit here, a little bit there, and then stir it all up.
Oh,
Must stop by there. There was actually
Or Billy.
we were talking about field trips.
Mhm.
One of the schools were there, and they'd taken up quite a bunch of tables.
Oh
And they were getting their orders out very, very quickly to feed that many kids.
Mhm.
And it was just about noontime.
Oh, perfect timing. So y'all need to stand at attention now. If you don't know what that is, pay attention.
Yeah.
We'll explain it to you.
I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock and I'm staying through the lunch hour so I can be there when we do the national anthem.
It's kind of like
Yeah,
I
I
do
do
when
with
I
you.
go to Golden Corral. I go there for lunch and I stay through dinner. I eat all the whole time.
Ah. Thanks a lot. The senior prize just went up.
Yeah.
We know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. This is a word that the
Oligarchy.
Democrats The what?
Oligarchy.
Well, it just sounded different when they said it.
It probably is.
But which is a form of government in which power rests within a small number of people. That's what they accuse in this administration. This ruling group often exercises power for selfish and corrupt purposes. And this is what AOC and Bernie Sanders were screaming at a rally yesterday. And I'm like,
Cackling.
screeching. What is that?
Oligarchy.
I've never heard of that word before. And I'm like, the what?
You probably
I
heard
walked
it. You
back
just
in the
couldn't-
room and was looking at the TV like, what did they just say?
Powerful men ruling, and that's basically what they're
Right.
talking about. And they're generally you're referring to a place like Russia, something like that. They got Russian oligarchy, the big powerful guys that rule everything, whether they're elected or not. And that's the kind of reference that they're trying to make this whole thing about. No, first of all, there's only one president that's elected. Period. Bottom line. He is the chief dude. He's chief cook and bottle washer, but he got to have a whole lot of assistants. There's only 100 senators elected. Okay, out of 300 and I had the numbers 325 million people. There are 100 people representing 325 million people.
Yeah.
There are 435 congressmen representing 325 million people. You want to call it an oligarchy? Yeah, there's 535 plus
Oligarchy.
1. 536
I have to
people.
practice that word.
536 people out of 325 million is a very small number. And yes, that is an oligarchy if you want to look at it like that.
They're just saying the individuals in a oligarchy. I can't even say it. Oligarchy.
Just call it it.
I'm going to say it. In an oligarchy,
Just call it Ollie.
known as oligarchs, may be connected by wealth, family ties, and other elite characteristics. Oligarch. That's my new word of the week. Oligarchy. Oligarchy.
I could mess with you.
I know I'm going to
Don't. What?
Oligopoly.
What?
oligarchy.
Oligopoly.
Look, that was my word for the day. Let's not complicate
What was
it.
your word for the day?
Oligarchy.
Oh, she did it.
There you go. There you go.
I'm just
Way to
like,
go, Mel.
I heard that this morning. I actually walked back into the room and was like, what did you just say? And then Bernie was yelling it. And I'm like, what?
910-333-0139. After the weather, give us a call if you want to chat, you want to fight. Call Lee. 910-333-0139. She's ready for you this morning, primed and locked and
It's been a
loaded.
good week. I'm taking care of the eyes this week, the teeth this week, and today's the truck. I've got a lot done.
Eyes, teeth, and truck.
Yeah. Important stuff. I've been serviced.
Yep.
Had my eyes done. You guys just think like men. Stop. No, I went to the eye doctor. Do you know, actually, I have 20/20 in one and 20/25 in the other.
Add them together, you get 40-45.
No, let's not do that. And then I went to the dentist and was in and out in a heartbeat, no cavities. And today I have to get the oil changed in the truck and the tires rotated. Y'all are just bad. Let's move on to weather. Okay, I'm ready for weather. Whether or not you're ready.
Weather or not, we're going to do the weather. Offshore today, northwesterly winds 20 to 25 knots, diminishing to 15 to 20. This afternoon, gusts up to 30, seas 5 to 8 feet. Don't think about it. Just think about it for next week. Subsiding to 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Near shore, seas 3 to 5. Sounds and rivers rough, diminishing to choppy in the afternoon. Saturday, southwesterly winds 20 to 25, gusts to 30, seas 5 to 7. Sounds and rivers rough. Sunday, a better day. Winds out of the north, but they're only 10 to 15 knots, and they're going to come down and switch around to the east. Only 5 to 10 in the afternoon on Sunday. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon.
Today, sunny with a high near 62, northwest wind 11 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 23. Tonight, patchy frost after 2 a.m., otherwise increasing clouds with a low around 37. Saturday, sunny with a high near 73, and Sunday, sunny with a high near 71.
Since none of y'all
Great day for all
took the
racing.
bait and none of y'all decided to call up and tell me about your fears. Are you so fearful of flying that you're afraid to talk about it? Are you so fearful of flying because of all of the reports of wrecks?
They say ticket
Near
sales are
misses,
down.
which are not near misses, they're near collisions.
So,
They say ticket sales are down right now because people are just like, Well, did you hear? Where? I haven't
go ahead.
heard.
Southwest Airlines yesterday
Another
from
one.
Orlando to Albany.
Mm-hmm.
Miss
Orlando to Albany, where? Georgia or New York?
I think New York.
Okay. It's Albany and New York. It's
Right.
Albany and Georgia. Spelled the same.
Did not hit the runway, hit a taxiway.
What was the taxi doing on the runway?
I don't know, but it
An actual taxi.
well, no. It didn't hit a taxi, but instead of going to the runway, he turned into a taxiway.
Oh,
Where they're
taxi
I'm
area.
sorry, where they're taxiing in, to get
Yeah.
to the.
Like, what?
He landed on the taxi.
He was taking off.
He had taken off.
They were going to be taking off, and instead
How
of
big a
going
plane
on the
was this? A
runway,
little plane?
oh no,
A real
jumbo
plane?
jet.
Really?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
going to take off on the taxi ramp?
Yep.
I would take him in for a breathalyzer. Seriously.
No, but
I just, those big guys should know the difference. I mean, this is not as long as a runway. What am I doing here?
it's interesting when you're talking about the flying and everything. You get bored when you're in the taxi and waiting to be take off,
So,
and you see all these other
Boeing
things.
737, go ahead, take off. And he does on the taxiway. No.
So I get to thinking about the air traffic controllers, and they're
Oh, God.
trying to tell these planes which runway to go off, which one to come on to, and all these planes are coming in and they're all taking off and they're going this direction and that direction, and
You know what I get hooked on? YouTube.
Yes.
Because I'll sit down there and there's a guy named,
Yeah.
he calls himself Captain Steve.
I love him.
And Captain Steve is an airline pilot, longtime airline pilot.
Mhm.
And you should hear the fights between air traffic controllers and pilots
Yes.
over the air.
Yes.
And some of them are challenging, the pilot may be challenging the air traffic controller. I'll be there and we'll talk about it when I get there type thing.
Mhm.
Holy moly. Ooh. So there are all sorts of, and the crashes, the things that have occurred, and he runs through them, and he doesn't hold back at all. He's good.
I'm
He's
gonna
very
put
good.
his link on our Facebook page.
You could spend hours, as I have, spend hours and hours watching and just never stop. Another one that I like, because it's the cop in me, John Legato. John Legato has picked up cop cameras,
Right.
dash cams and body cams, and the shenanigans that they're going through. And there's one cop, he's a deputy sheriff out there. Is it Arizona? I think. I knew his name. I can't remember it. But anyway, he does his body cameras and his dealings with things like sovereign citizens. I haven't heard of any of our locals having issues with so-called sovereign citizens. I'm not driving a car. I'm traveling. I don't need a license.
No, but remember, John had on there that YouTube video of that guy that was riding a bicycle down Cheney Avenue, and people were calling in because he was acting suspicious, and a female JPD officer stopped
I
him.
didn't see that one.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you what. I just want to reach into that video and just knock that guy right off his bicycle. He was so arrogant, and and still saying to this day that the JPD officer was wrong. She didn't have the right, and she kept trying to explain to him. We got calls from people that live in this area that you were acting suspicious, and he wanted to argue that fact, and it just got
was that the guy that was taking pictures
yes.
and claimed to be
Yes, he was taking
a
pictures.
reporter?
Oh, those
Mhm.
guys are auditors. He calls them frauditors.
Yeah.
But they want to go into public places. They think that just because the courthouse is a public place, that they can go in there and take pictures. They think that they can go into the police department, and just because it's a public place, it's taxpayer owned, it's paid for by the taxpayers, that they can just walk in and shoot video. No, you cannot do that. There are things you cannot do. They have the right. It's been ruled in all the courts in the land that you cannot go into places like that and do things like that. It's also been ruled that let's take them all. Any shopping center. If they don't want you in there, they can kick you out, just like I can kick you out of my home. It's a private enterprise.
He wasn't doing an audit or anything. He was just suspicious.
Yeah, I know. But
taking pictures of people's houses and stuff.
Well,
I saw somebody taking pictures of my house. I'd be like, why are you taking pictures of my house?
You need that bike? You need both wheels on that bike?
I'll be like, no.
When was the last time you had an accident and fell down off your bike? Before today.
He was a little arrogant.
They quite often they are. I was
arrogant.
I've told this before. I've got a 500 millimeter lens for one of my cameras, right? My Nikon,
right?
Which is a kind of a long lens, lengthwise. It's a long lens. And I was over in the New River Shopping Center a couple, 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and the moon. Full moon, beautiful fall afternoon, evening, going into the evening, crystal clear day, no humidity, and the moon was coming up over the stores on leaning towards the back. This is a great shot. My wife was with me. I think she was with me. Yeah, she was with me. I get out of the truck, throw that lens on. I had a pickup at the time, and I'm leaning across the hood of the truck, the top of the truck. Standing up, and so I can brace myself. A long lens, a little bit of movement shows up a lot of movement on the other end, and I'm bracing myself. Normally I'd put that on a tripod, but I don't have time. The moon ain't gonna stay there very long, y'all. It does move, and I'm shooting pictures. Well, one police car comes up behind me, another police car comes up straight at me. I said, "Okay, how we doing?" He said, "Fine. You've been out here taking pictures?" I said, "I have." He said, "Well," I said, somebody stopped you or called you about somebody with a gun, didn't they?" And he said, "They did." I said, I'm an ex-one of you. I understand. I would have done the same thing." And he started laughing. Really? So we had a conversation then. I said, here's the gun. It's a 500 millimeter. So that's about the biggest bore you're going to run into. But anyway, it was all fun and games, but they were doing their job.
Yeah.
What if I wasn't shooting pictures? What if I was the idiot with a rifle or a long barrel gun? In fact, that thing was longer than the barrels on the 44 Magnum with an 3/8-inch barrel. So, I mean, I could have been doing that.
Make my day.
Yeah. You don't know. So the cops got to do the job. Otherwise, what would you have done, doofus, if you were living in that house and some dude was coming by and taking pictures of your house, and then suddenly he doesn't see anybody in front of at your house, and then he comes in the back door while you're there? What would you think then? Would you have blasted the police because they didn't go and check him out when they got a call about him being suspicious? Put yourself in the shoes of the cops and the homeowners.
Right, definitely.
You did a very good dissertation yesterday about Crime Stoppers, and if you see something that's suspicious, you're going to call, because JPD, Sheriff's Department, whatever, they'd like to know this information. And I saw something posted last night on the next door neighbor.
Yes.
Do you recognize this person? It was somebody with a Ring camera.
Yeah.
Folks need to know that. Call Crime Stoppers and let them turn that over to LEO, because more than likely they've got that person.
If you have got your Ring doorbell, let's just say my Ring doorbell goes off and there's some dude standing there, because there's two ways it goes off. One is when they approach it, proximity detector, presence detector, y'all. It goes off. It trips it, and it ding. It lets me know. And then if they push the button, it lets me know a different tone. And that's because I can talk to them once they push the button, if I so choose, from wherever in the world that I am. And then it also has their images there. If he walks up to the porch, stands there, and you see him looking at your Ring doorbell, then he turns around and walks away, that is called suspicious activity. I don't care what else you say. Bad guys for decades have gone, because there are people who will stay at home. Lee will stay at home, and for instance, I'm using her as my example. Lee's at home. Suddenly, somebody rings her doorbell. She said, "I'm not going to answer the doorbell. I don't want to
get down on the floor and crawl."
No.
Past the windows,
Well, hold on.
down the hallway.
And she said, I don't want to talk to them. I'm just not going to go. I don't care. And well, that is one thing that bad guys do. They ring the doorbell. If you go answer it, there's a pretext. They always have something. I'm here, or I'm selling magazines, or I've got this, or did you? I'm taking a survey. They may have a pad with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this, or I'm doing. If you answer your doorbell, if you do not answer your doorbell, if you wait for a little while, there's a possibility, and it has happened, that they show up at the back door and kick it in.
Ooh.
Nobody's watching them at the back. Nobody's seeing it. They figure you're not at home because they rang your doorbell.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, answer your door. You can stay on the inside of it and say, hey, what can I do for you? I'm taking a survey. I'm not interested. Go away. I mean, you do not have to be nice. There's nothing in, what was that lady that wrote all the how to be nice to people things?
Dear Abby?
No. It was a book put out by Aunt Hilda or somebody. Anyway, Aunt Hilda's things that you should be doing to be nice.
Oh,
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Miss Manners.
Miss Manners, yes.
Miss Manners may tell you to be nice to people like that. Why? I don't have to be nice to people like that. You've intruded on my time. Same as when you call my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know who you are, you intruded on my time. I also spent money on it. Send me $50 and I'll let you talk to me. I mean, seriously. And I don't have a problem telling them to go away on the phone or at the door. If I don't know them, what do you want?
She's looking for the kitty. It's time to go to the vet.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Last I saw, is he
He's
in
in
your
there,
bookcase? He's probably under there.
The trick.
The trick.
Yeah.
Rattled the
And
food.
there he comes.
We should got the cat. Look at that cat trained.
Oh, well, the
Your
cat's
new
trained.
cat.
The cat's
Your
got us trained.
new
No, we'll find out in a few
cat.
minutes if he's new. To
No,
us. Anyway, those are the things, people.
Yes.
Don't be mad at the cops. They're doing their freaking jobs.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is.
yes, it's just the way it is. And I have the utmost respect for any law enforcement officer. And yes, you're going to run into a few here or there that don't do their job like they should. And usually it doesn't take long for them to be let go. Now, that big case that I told you I've been following out of Massachusetts for a while, the lead investigator in the case, which I told you, did a terrible job. He was very biased in everything that he did, and the people involved in this case were his buddies, and it was like pin everything on the girl. Well, Massachusetts State Police,
They usually cause it.
they fired him. It's gone nationwide. They fired
Good.
him for his. They said that the investigation he did was not up to standards.
Good.
And that he's biased in the whole thing, and so, man, this has been a case that you just can't. I watched it all last year. It's still going on. We've had court motions this week, and it's supposed to start back again in April. And it has been a story. And, when I first heard it, my first thought is, no, this cop wouldn't have done that. These cops wouldn't have done that,
well.
blah, blah, blah. Well, I truly
They are
believe
humans.
in that small town is run by a bunch of corrupt cops and mayor.
Well, and it starts at the top, because if it wasn't at the top, it would not be allowed.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
If you ever allow it, then you're just as guilty. And
The
need to put a stop to it.
Massachusetts State Police, they're really working hard now. Their colonel, I think his name was Nobles, he's in charge. He is really working hard at trying to, because this is not the first. There's another case with a cadet that was with the highway patrol, with the state police. They call them state police. And he died in training. And there's a lot of things there that don't add up. And then there's a Birchmore case where a young girl got hooked up going to the Police Explorer program. And while she was there was like 3 officers that decided to take favors from her. And one of the officers ended up getting her pregnant. And so before it was all over, it's a Sandra Birchmore case. And before it was all over with, she allegedly hung herself in the closet. Well, after more investigation, which was sloppy investigation to begin with, and they had declared it a suicide, went back and got more investigation and found out she had been murdered. And so he's up for charges. So Massachusetts has a lot of issues right now, but they've got new people in charge in the state trying to clean it up.
And what happens when you've got one bad postmaster, one bad supervisor of a police department, a post office, or anything else, and you get 4 or 5, one even. You get one bad apple,
And that happens.
you get one
Any
bad
place.
apple, and everybody looks at, oh yeah, I know you're one of those cops that just you're on the take, just like everybody, like that other guy.
I
was,
don't
like all those
think
people
that. When
were.
I see an LEO, I have the utmost respect
I.
for him.
I had
but-
most pity for him.
This is just a story that just kept growing and growing and growing, and it's the same cops involved in all this stuff. So you've got a group, and the state's trying to clean it up, and I know they will.
And I know you conceal carry guys. You know, you have a right to carry.
I have
Right.
news on that.
Right.
You have a right to carry, but the police officer has a right to live.
That's right.
He does not know necessarily. You might not be driving the car that is registered to you that you're in. You might not be the owner of that car. You might be driving your wife's car, and it's registered to her. Okay, serious.
I don't think I'd be stopping
And
anybody
then
anymore.
when I get pulled over, if I was doing that and I take offense, well, you know that I've got a gun. Why do I need to tell you I've got a gun? Because the law requires it, number one, in North Carolina. And number two, out of the safety of the officer. Yeah, he actually, depends upon what his feelings are, he has the right to take your gun during that traffic stop.
Right. Oh, certainly.
I did it one time. I took
Yes.
the gun and then I unloaded it, including the magazine.
right.
He had a little 25 automatic, I think, and I took the bullets out. When I got through with him, I handed him his pistol back. I said, if you would
After I leave,
if you
load
would
it.
just put that back in your
Mhm.
glove compartment until you get away from me. Here's your magazine, and you want some bullets to go with that? Here's that. Now you can leave.
Right.
I know that I'm not going to be harmed by him.
Exactly.
And was it out of caution? No, it was 3:00 in the morning.
Mhm.
I was the only person out other than him. So sorry, that's what I did. And I just chose to do it. He was overly shady. It's just the timing, the circumstances, the feeling that I had, the hairs up on the back of my neck. And he was perfectly fine. I just gave him a ticket for whatever I gave him a ticket for and moved on.
Well, news out of North
And I
Carolina.
got to come home.
News out of the North Carolina General Assembly yesterday.
I hope
The
not.
NC Senate Bill 50, which is known as the Freedom to Carry North Carolina bill. It passed the Senate.
What are the circumstances with it?
Well, it has to go to the House now, which I'm
understand.
sure there'll
What-
be a huge fight over
What,
that.
what does that, how does
That
it read?
allows
two different
individuals to carry a concealed handgun without a permit
I got that.
across North Carolina. You have to be 18 years
I got all
older.
that, but
All right. Well, what
does
are you
it,
asking?
does it eliminate the concealed carry permits for other people who want them?
No, you
There-
can still
There
get that.
Well, there was a House bill that said it eliminated the concealed carry permits, but everybody had the right to carry concealed. I don't like that one at all. I'm opposed to that
This
one. I
one
like the Senate one.
says, this one says that the concealed carry permits will still be available
Yep.
to the people who want it because of the reciprocal states.
That's it.
In other words, if you get the concealed carry permit,
Mhm.
like we all have, if you go to Virginia, I believe Virginia is
It does.
reciprocal
There are
with North
35
Carolina.
states have a
Right.
reciprocal agreement. I could go to any one of those 35 states carrying,
Right, and
as
carry
long as I abide by
concealed
their laws.
with your concealed permit that you have from North Carolina.
Right.
But if you don't get this and you go to a state that does not recognize concealed carry, you can be arrested.
Okay, so my question, if I can,
Yes, go right ahead.
so the one that's it's,
The
Senate
Senate
Bill
passed it.
50,
Yes.
you don't have to qualify. You don't have to fill out any paperwork and then qualify because I believe to get the concealed permit,
Yep.
you have to qualify.
You have
That's
to,
right.
you have to go through a
school,
class,
a
flat
class.
8 hours of
check, a
class,
class,
and then
everything.
qualify at the range.
And
And
this
yada,
one
yada, yada.
eliminates you don't have to go to
You don't have
class.
to do anything.
Correct.
Now,
Mm.
well, we have the open carry.
Right.
You
Right.
can still carry open anywhere in North Carolina that you can legally do that. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to do anything.
Mm.
No paperwork. Of course, any law enforcement officer can check that weapon at that point in time. You don't know that, but if they feel some kind of thing there, they're a little suspicious
Mhm.
at all, they can take that just as they come into your house with a warrant to search your
Right.
house. They can check every gun that they find in your house to run it through NCIC to see if it's stolen. You didn't know that. That's the way they find a lot of stolen guns.
Oh, let's not
Wow.
even talk about that bill that they're working on. About if you lose your gun or your gun is stolen, you must report it within 48 hours. And if you don't do it, and if that gun is used in the commission of a crime, you could be held criminally or civilly liable.
If somebody breaks
I'm
into
like,
my house right now, tomorrow, I'm gone. Do you think that I inventory every weapon that I've got around here
it's
every
the first
day?
thing I would look for is my
Every day?
guns.
I
Right.
can't.
Right.
They're secured. They're hidden.
Right.
They're hidden in different places. in
Mine
my
are
house.
too, but I'd still go look.
Well, I mean, a lot of mine are collector's items.
Right.
You think I'm going to inventory my
No.
1851 musket?
No.
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 I've got
No.
collector's items that are not going to be, well, they'd be stolen as collector's items, but if they're used,
Mhm.
somebody steals it based upon that, and I don't realize it, and I don't report it, then I'm guilty. Nah.
Ooh.
Well,
That's
I
a
have
stupid bill.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about the bill. I understand, and I understand that we're one of the few states that don't allow it. Because I think when you've been on the other side,
Mhm.
and I think if I was a cop today, I don't know that I'd be out there at 3 o'clock in the morning stopping a car and say his license plate tag, the light over it's out. I'd be like, go on. I don't
Yeah.
think, I just think it's really going to make it really hard on our law enforcement. But,
No, I think you're right. And you're talking about tags and stuff. Those. There was a time, and unless the laws changed, about the darkened plates,
right.
where law
Right.
enforcement has to be able to read
Has to
your
be able to read it.
license plate. So 3 a.m. you can't read it. I mean, I know law enforcement takes their oath. they
And
take it
in
seriously.
the same respect, on the other side of the coin, the guy could have a gun in his car anyway, but and it's a chance an officer takes at 3 o'clock in the morning and he can't read the tag. And so he walks up to the vehicle hoping, that he doesn't get shot. And true, even without it being able to carry concealed, that person can still have a gun. But I think why I feel the way I feel is I've seen too many people during my life that were careless with guns
Mhm.
and posed an issue. That's like, have you ever been with a group of people, like say one of the organizations that you're in, say, oh, let's all go to the range together and let's shoot.
Yep.
I go, no, because I know that some of the people in the group that maybe I'm with don't know a thing about guns, and I don't want to be in a group of people and somebody's waving a gun all over because you can't watch everybody. I'm like, y'all go right ahead. I'll go on my own.
Yeah, I did go by myself, maybe Kathy or somebody that I know
Right.
has used the gun and used it properly, is trained with it. But no.
I understand it's the Second Amendment right.
Yes.
But I also, and I'll probably make some people mad with this, I also think that we still need some type of control. And I think in the sense like when we were able to go ahead and get concealed permits,
Right.
I think that was great. That's a form of control. And you have to go to a training class. You have to get your certificate. That's a form of control. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about anything past that, but I don't know. I think when it passes, it probably will, that you'll see every time you go into Walmart or Food Line, you'll see all these people wearing guns all of a sudden. And I think that after that, it'll wear off and you won't see so much of it anymore
No.
because it's just something new. And there's just something. I would go to some political meetings. And I'm going to try to keep this as vague as I can so they know I'm not talking about them. But I have seen, like, some of the men, like, there is one who is in the General Assembly, always has to be wearing a gun when he comes to the meeting. And then I know another one that would come in wearing a gun on each hip. He's wearing 2 guns. And I'm like, and to me, it's more about, it's not about their Second Amendment, right? To me, it looks like they're trying to show off.
Yeah.
A gun on each hip? Would you do that, Rafer? Would you wear a gun on each hip? Oh, he's counting. That scares me.
He's probably counting. You were counting your guns.
I went and did inventory. I got 47 of them. And I counted every one of them.
You left us to go do inventory?
Well, it's important. If I was missing one, I didn't report it, I could be guilty of a crime.
We're just talking about,
Would I wear a gun on each hip? No. Yes, I have. Well, no, I really haven't.
Like, say you wanted to go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Let me put my gun on, and you put one on each hip. What do you think about people that do that?
No, in law enforcement, I quite often carry 2.
Well, I know that, but we're not going to see them.
They'll see
Well,
one.
you're not going to see it if I go to Lowe's.
I'm just
anyway.
talking about a meeting that I used to go to where, it was just some of these guys just always said, it was like, let's see who's got the biggest gun. I'm wearing the most guns today. I mean, really? Really?
There was a time when I was at Cary Beach PD, and they had some guy who walked into a building in Atlanta and shot a bunch of people.
Yeah.
He had 3 guns or something with him. And how did he get in? I mean, I had guys that I worked with. How did he get in there with 3 guns?
Yeah.
Oh my God. How in the world? Didn't somebody see him? Could somebody tell? And so I said, no, I don't know. Next day I came in. I wasn't working. But I walked in the same meeting that morning. The same guy was there. And I've got a big T-shirt on.
Yeah.
And when I got through, they got through with the meeting and said, nobody. How many guns have I got on? Well, we know you got your normal one. Mm-hmm. Well, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 1 in each pocket. There were 5 on me. And then I went to the ankle holster. And because I don't wear an ankle holster, but I had borrowed one. And I had 6 handguns on me, and I was wearing a big T-shirt. That was all.
Right.
I had it on a shoulder holster under here, 2 inside waistband holsters. Come on. A 22 automatic in one pocket, a 25 in the other pocket, and a 38 special in an ankle holster. Yes, it can be done.
Oh, yeah, it can be done. And it's just as easy for a woman, too.
Some women, it's a little easier for. There are special holsters out there.
Yes, they are.
Yes, there are.
There's for their purses and stuff like that.
Yes, I have a couple of those that you can slide it in the side and zip it up.
Uh-huh.
And I have all sorts of holsters. I have shoulder, I have waist, I have the ankle.
She's getting there.
I know.
We're going to stop right there. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about the story. I don't know, did you see how the U.S. Coast Guard confiscated a lot of dope yesterday?
They do it pretty much every day. But
They had nearly 46,000 pounds of seized illegal drugs yesterday at Port Everglades.
yeah,
Isn't that Florida?
Yep.
The
46,000 pounds. That's 23.
Isn't that where you go out of on your cruise?
No, Port Canaveral.
The drugs worth more than $517.5 million
I'm assuming
It's not pot.
were seized
I would
in
think.
14 interdictions. What kind of word is that? In the Eastern Pacific Ocean by the crews of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Stone and Mohawk.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Eastern Pacific, and they came into Port Everglades with it.
Maybe
That's
it's too-
what it says.
So they were in there working on the other side of the Panama Canal
No.
and seized all the dope.
Oh, here it is. The cutters had embedded helicopter interdiction, tactical squadron air crews, as well as a tactical law enforcement team, Pacific
Primarily working
Law
that.
Enforcement Detachment. 34 suspected smugglers. There's too many S's in this. Were taken into custody.
What was the drug?
You said 46,000 pounds, right?
45,000 pounds of cocaine
That's what I thought.
and 50 pounds of marijuana. valued at over,
22 and a half tons of coke.
yeah.
That may be a record.
Uh,
Well, no, wait, but that was for all of the seizures? Probably.
This is
Really?
unprecedented seizure of illicit drugs that is the result of 14 different, here's that word again, interdictions of drug smuggling vessels.
Okay, they got 14 different boats or whatever, primary boats.
Yeah.
And some of the boats were likely classified as submarines by the smugglers. They're not really submarines. They're just low. They're totally enclosed, but they float with about 6 inches above the water. So they float just below the surface, and they're hard to see on radar.
Didn't we have this discussion yesterday, getting a little off topic,
No.
where it says 517.5 million, but further down into the story, it says approximately 500 million.
Oh,
Remember how
God.
we had that
Yeah,
discussion
people.
yesterday?
Well, those
about-
numbers I gave y'all earlier.
Yes.
I'm going to give you some more right now.
Okay, go with
Should
it.
the United States pay more tariffs for the products we get from other countries than the tariffs we are paid for the products we ship to other countries? Should we get more money? Well, let me explain to you what this is. Would you be surprised that the United States imports more stuff dollar for dollar than we export? We get more stuff in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
More imports than we export. The difference between what we ship to other countries and what we get from other countries is what is called the trade deficit. In 2024, the deficit amounted to $918 billion. A year earlier, that deficit was $785 billion. Should that concern us? Should we be concerned? $918 billion deficit. We brought in more, we paid for more stuff than we got paid for. Now, should it concern us? Should we try to reduce the amount we import and concentrate on actually producing the same products here to take care of our own needs? Right now, given the difference between imports and exports, it seems pretty clear. If I look at it, it's obvious that these United States actually, we depend on other countries to keep us running. Now, what happens, my dear darling friends? What happens when these other countries decide at some point in time, it could be a major war, it could be disasters in their own countries, it could be overthrow of their governments, it could be other problems in their areas that they can no longer produce and export stuff to us, stuff that we need. Let's just go back to the pandemic. What kept all the brand new cars that were coming out of Detroit and other places in the United States sitting on car lots, unable to be sold, brand new cars?
Missing chips.
Where'd those chips come
parts
from?
in China.
Where we couldn't get stuff.
That's right.
So for the lack of a $40,000 car was sitting there on a car lot somewhere and could not be sold. Should we be concerned that at some point in time China said we can put a stop to the United States by simply not selling them anything? Is it going to hurt us? Probably not, because we got all we need, because we're an oligarchy and we don't care about
Oligarchy.
and we don't care about the people, the normal people in China. We're not like the United States where everybody counts. We're China. We're Russia. We don't care about anybody except the higher ups here, the hierarchy, the oligarchy in Russia. That's all we care about. So can we put a hurt on the United States? Absolutely. We need a backup. That what I told you, I often carried a second pistol on me when I was working. When I was allowed to do that, which in Jacksonville was no problem. Carolina Beach, it was a little bit more of a problem. Cary Beach, I conned the chief into letting me have it. But why did I carry it? It's called a backup. Suppose something happens to the primary gun that I got. Suppose somebody takes it from me, sneaks it away from me. Suppose it breaks. You ever had a gun break? I bought a brand new and it broke on the 35th round. It had a lifetime warranty, the guy told me. I was at the range qualifying with it, and it broke on the 35th round, brand new. Took it back. He said, it's a lifetime warranty. We got another one coming for you. No. My life ended on the 35th round when it broke. If I was in actual
Yeah.
combat, I would have been dead. So I don't want this gun or anyone like it. So I got me a different one. So it was tainted as far as I was concerned.
Sure.
I just couldn't. I would not have been comfortable carrying it.
Is this not why President Trump wants to do the tariffs?
Duh.
To get these companies to come back to the United States?
Yes. If it makes it too expensive to import those other goods into this country, some of those companies that have left the United States to go to the Dominican Republic to make shirts and whatever, which they used to do. I don't know whether they still do it or not, for a Wilmington-based company, by the way. To all these other companies that have left the United States because of the cheap labor in China and wherever, Taiwan. We get cheap labor there to produce cheap junk.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we buy it here
Yes, we do.
and we pay tariffs on it and we still buy it.
Yeah, I just.
So let's raise the tariffs to bring it up to the same amount of money it would cost an American to produce it in an American company, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, we've lost so many American-made things over the years. American companies closing down. Look at all the furniture manufacturing plants in North Carolina that have closed down.
Yeah.
And I know Trump said he wants to bring them back to North Carolina.
We without this kind of stuff, I mean, we used to do very well by exporting tobacco. We don't have that much tobacco anymore.
No.
We don't,
No.
we
You
don't grow that much.
uh-uh.
And what we do produce, most of it goes overseas
That's right.
because those people haven't figured out yet that it's bad for you. We call it
They're
population
healthier
control.
than we are. What are
Actually,
you talking about?
Dominican is rum.
Dominican is rum. That's
They-
one of
they-
the things.
They export to us a
Mhm.
lot of rum.
Well, Puerto Rico does too, but that's
Yeah.
part of us. But you don't got Barbados. There's Jamaica produces rum and they ship it here. There are so many Caribbean nations that produce rum.
Sure. And there's a lot of nations that get stuff from us, not like we get from them.
We get more from the other countries.
That's right.
Do you think that we can? What do you think that we can ship to Jamaica that will exceed what we buy from Jamaica in just rum?
Can't think of a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what do they need from
When
us?
when I've been in Jamaica and you go to the supermarket there or whatever, I find products, but very little of it's written in English and very little of it's coming from the United States. It comes from other
Mhm.
places.
They need bobsleds.
For what?
They have a bobsled team
Do they
from
have
Jamaica.
snow?
They had a bobsled team that
in
won
the Olympics.
the Olympics one year.
That reminds me about that Russian swimmer. Did you see the news on that Russian swimmer?
What's that got to
I
do
think
with
it was
bobsleds?
Because it made me think of snow,
What
which
does
made
oligarchy
me
make you
think of ice. This Russian swimmer just set a new world record for swimming under ice. Okay,
Under ice.
my whole head went to ice.
It's-
Who wants to swim in ice?
There are
Under ice.
There are divers that go into. They cut holes in ice to jump in it because it's so gorgeous down there. And I said, "You're crazy."
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can find the story. It's almost like
They were
free diver, longest swim under ice.
time or longest distance.
Longest under ice swim. I'm trying to find a story. All I got was the headlines
Well,
there.
he's not as crazy as the person who set the record. The first person who did it.
Yeah. Well, maybe the record was set and it was only 12 seconds. So this
Yeah.
guy did 14 seconds.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's a female. Russian media reported she swam over 120 meters, which is 400 feet, under the frozen surface of Lake Baikal.
Did she make a lot of money
Baikal,
for it?
Whatever.
Otherwise, why?
It
Yeah.
confirmed by the appropriate official organizations the distance would be a world record.
So
Why would you? It's got to be cold.
Well,
And look, she's
that
not.
is oh God,
She's not.
girl.
that was the smartest thing you've said today.
Look, she's not wearing a sweat. She's
You're
not
not
wearing
wearing what?
a wetsuit.
Oh,
I'd
Well,
have
it
to
would-
have wetsuit, earmuffs, everything to go swimming
well, the
under there.
wetsuit would slow you down and make it difficult.
I still have to have a wetsuit.
Well,
I'd be wearing socks with my flippers.
if you're really cold,
Cold.
you would be swimming a lot faster.
Yeah.
Work up your body heat. I guarantee you she was wrapped up in bear grease or whatever.
I was just going to
Something.
say some kind of grease.
Yeah. Makes her slippery too.
Yeah.
She really doesn't look like a she, though, does she?
Oh, here we go.
Does she look like a she in that picture?
Here. That's an angle from it.
Okay, you can't see this at home, but
I'll put the link to the
Okay.
story up there. Tell me, Chris, does that look like a she?
no.
Is this another?
No.
Is this another one where?
Not even
No.
at 12 drinks of straight something.
Oh, no.
2 bags.
No.
Oh, that's coyote.
All right, I'll put the link on our comments so
Besides,
you
if
can
she
look
could-
it up.
If she could swim 400 yards underwater, 400 feet underwater, under ice, no. You know,
It's crazy.
what
the
happens if
stories
you
hear
can't
in
find
the
the spot that you're supposed to be coming out at? Can you imagine up there trying to? Because there's always, there's a little separation between the ice and the water
Yeah.
itself. Okay, you got a little air pocket right there, but. Can you imagine trying to? I got to claw my way back. Where's that
Well,
hole? Oh my God, it's not there.
God bless
Big
her.
Move it. What'd you do with the hole?
Not my thing, but God
Nope,
bless
not
her.
gonna happen.
I don't even. I don't even walk on ice.
I don't either.
I stay in the house. I'm like, "Ugh."
Goes in the cup.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right.
Phew.
Had a guy used to tell me he was going home after work. He said, "I'm going to give some ice cubes and alcohol rub down." Okay, we will see you. Think about it slowly.
I got it.
I just did, yes, and I was like, okay.
We will see you
Bless your
Monday
heart.
morning, maybe. And disappointed in some of you folks did not want to jump on top of me this morning and beat me into
Well,
submission.
if you really think about this whole thing with the Department of Education, just hold on to your britches.
Yeah, that's just.
They're
that's-
not wiping the
that's-
whole thing
That's
out.
just
Yeah.
part of it.
They're going to streamline it.
Yeah.
They're going to cut out the waste. And besides, they can't just dump the whole department
Nope.
because it's law that it has to be. Let it work out. It'll be okay.
I think I missed one.
What?
I found 47. But I actually have 48.
It's probably one tapped up here underneath the table.
No, there's one down there, but I counted that.
Okay.
That don't shoot, so that don't count.
No, it
You
just
don't
sticks
know.
you.
That's a
Oh.
that'll stick.
Oh, I know where it is. It's in
Okay.
here, but it's hidden.
Don't tell anybody.
It'll take y'all forever to find it. And if you do, you don't. You ever had a mouse trap that really snap on your fingers? Oh, it would.
Oh, yes.
That would
No,
be. That
I
would
don't
be.
do those either.
That would be easy compared to what you would get if you
Yeah.
go to that store.
Because then you have to take the mouse out of the trap. No.
No, when you're setting
That's what-
it out,
Oh, that's true.
sometimes it'll
No,
snap
mm-mm.
on you.
No.
No,
hurts.
what you do is you put. Well, you will get nosy neighbors and stuff like that. There are a couple of things you can do. One is those who want to go through the drawer. Go ahead and put a mousetrap in there, so when they reach in there, ow!
Yeah.
You can hear them scream.
That's
The
a
other
good
one
one.
is in your medicine cabinet. Put stuff in there when you got visitors over that is leaning, and you have to close the door to keep it from falling out. They open the door and everything comes crashing out, and you can hear it, and then they're like, "Uh-oh."
I don't keep anything in my medicine cabinets worth.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe
They
a
should
tube
be-
of toothpaste and a
They don't
toothbrush.
need to be nosy,
I
and
know that.
people are nosy.
You've
How many-
never looked in somebody else's
Oh,
cabinets
absolutely
when you've
not,
gone to some,
because
even as a kid?
I know,
Never,
I
ever?
know there are people out there like
Tell
me.
the truth. Tell
I
the
haven't.
truth. Yeah, you've never like walking down the hallway, maybe peeked inside a bedroom as you're walking down the hallway to the bathroom.
No,
It's
No.
human nature.
I haven't.
No, only if I suspected there was somebody getting ready to stick their head out. And
I haven't.
I don't. I'm in somebody else's house. I try to show the highest level of respect. I don't go through their stuff.
you should show the highest level of fear, because there are people like me out there. Okay, we will see you Monday morning. Who you got
Have a
scheduled
great
yet?
weekend.
Not really sure yet. I have so many calls out right now.
Okay, go ahead and set your calendars for next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
it's the
please
26th.
do.
The 26th. and set it for 10 o'clock, and that way you've got 6 hours to get there.
Right,
If you miss it the first go round, you keep going. It's going to be at the Mission Barbecue. It's going to be the bus that looks like a van, Wreaths Across America. What?
I don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
The first one I saw looked like a Greyhound, then this one looked like a 18 wheeler.
Go
Yeah,
look for something out there that doesn't
You'll see
normally
it.
there. You
Right.
can miss it.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue, appropriate. And we will get an education about Wreaths Across America and what it's actually for. You hear us talk about it. We get into it from time to time, but next week or whenever, we need to really sit down and talk about what this means. If we can find a couple family members other than those in this room, other than those running our mouths all the time,
Good thought.
if we can find somebody out there, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you and your family? Every year when you go out to visit and you find a wreath there, or when you go out to visit and
I've got some
you pick
people
up
who can ask.
a wreath that you paid for $17, and you take it out and put it on your loved one's resting place.
Well, ask some people.
Okay, let's
We'll do
get a
that.
couple people like that.
I will do that.
Okay. What
Good
it means?
thoughts.
What does
Good
it mean to them?
thoughts. Yes.
Okay, we'll see you Monday morning, bright and early, right here live and
Great
local, Real
weekend.
Talk. We'll have a wonderful weekend. We're awake. Well, I'm not going to be very long because I'm going to go to sleep. We're awake and we're never woke. Have a great weekend, y'all. Bye.